Welcome back to Rotten Rust Garage. This weekend I'm going to try my best for part 2 on the floor pan for the 69 Charger, and it's going to be a little bit tedious, so I guess all I can do is jump right in. Okay, so 2 weeks ago I covered how to cut out everything. I'll link that video below. And I got it all prepped. One last step in the prep, but before I go to that step, I really need to try and get this dialed in a little bit tighter. So I'll bring you in here closer in a second, but I just want to kind of cover a few quick items. Like, this is pretty tedious work. It's a whole lot of back and forth with fitment, and I want to get this fitted as nicely as possible. I'm not going to go for it's not like it ever happened kind of state. It's obviously going to have a floor welded in it when I'm all done, because I'm going to seam seal everything. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm having a hard time not trying to make it as best as possible. I'm also going to do something a little unconventional with this floor pan that it's not, anybody that's done this a lot, they're going to say, oh, that's the wrong way to do it. Well, I'll explain why I'm going to do it the way I'm going to do it. But first, I got to start getting it to fit a little bit better. As I mentioned in the previous video, this does have pretty good form, but as I'm starting to tighten it up in here, I've got it cut out. I can see a lot of different places that it's not going to work too good. So let me get you in there a little closer. All right, so the lighting is not great, but you can see where I've taken the marker here, and I've marked where it's going to interfere a little bit as I tighten this up in there. Yeah, you can see massive gaps right now. That's because I've been pushing it back and forth and trying to get it in the right spot. So some of the things I'll point out when I'm doing this, at least, like this is a very pronounced crease right here, right below the gas pedal. I want that to line up really well. So when I line that up, this is sunk down. That's why there's such a huge gap. I can bring it up closer. When I line that up, this part over here is out too far from the original floor. So I've also got a little bit of a place there where I was cutting it out where it gets a little wonky. I'm going to grind this spot back. I got to grind this spot back. I'm going to avoid grinding on the new pan, and I'm going to focus more on grinding away the old rotten metal and get, that gets me further away into clean metal. Same thing here. Hopefully you can see my little crayon marks there. And then we're going to work our way back. Now here's where it's going to get different. And again, may have some haters out there when I explain how I'm going to do this. I am not going to butt the back of this up. I'm going to cut this off along this tape line I've made. What I'm going to do is drill through where this tape is, and I'm going to spot weld this across the existing floor that's under there that is good, and spot weld it to that cross member. Why am I going to do that? Well, as I explained in the last video, if I pull this out of here, you'll see a little better. It's not the easiest thing to get out of here. Bear with me. All right, if we pull that out of there, right? So I have an option. I could butt it up to this where I've already cut it, right? And weld through the top, and I won't get any of that very hardened, which will turn quickly gooey, undercoating. I won't get it on because there is no undercoating under here along this, and this is inside of this frame. The problem with that is, if you've ever welded in a piece of metal, butt welding two pieces of sheet metal together, can't talk with my new tongue, on the back side of that, even, if I get weld through primer, which I can't really get under here, this is right up against this frame. On the back side of this is where it's going to rust, because I won't be able to go back behind myself and come underneath of here and spray paint it like this over here. I'll be able to get up all through here and spray paint the back side of these welds. I can put seam seal on the back side if I want to. I won't be able to do that if I butt it up right here. So I don't like that plan. If I come too far over here, now I'm into all that hardened undercoating that I do not feel like trying to chisel off. Also, I'd have to remove this rear brake line. I don't want to do that because it comes over right through here, comes up against the frame, somewhere over here, and goes on back. I don't want to do that. It's also hard to get up under there because the back of the torsion bar socket hangs out in there. So again, what I think I'm going to do, come across over here, and then it's going to just lap up on top of here. I'll do a couple spot welds there, and I'm just going to spot weld it just like this is spot welded to this cross member. It'll be super strong, and I can just seam seal the back side of it, right? And we'll call it good. That way I don't have to worry about, I can prep and prime all of this under here and weld right through that with weld through primer. And I won't have anything behind my weld that needs to be treated, because it's going to be right through this metal and into that cross member. So it'll be good to go. I know that's unconventional and it's probably not the preferred way to do it, but I'm going to try it. So here's where I go, and I'm going to try and get started on all the tedium of sanding and refitting, and I'll fast forward through as much of that as possible unless something interesting happens. Okay, so what I'm seeing now, getting this gap closed up a little bit, still got some more grinding to do, but now to close this gap and get this to line up a little better, this is getting caught through here. So I need to do a little more grinding here to where this will drop down some and catch a little better. That's starting to come out of alignment too. So another helpful thing to get the exact same position on this pan every time is to make a couple of like permanent marker lines that you can get on 2 sides or 3, that you line all those up that way in the exact same spot every time you put it back in for fitment checks. So getting this lined up is key. That's low right now because that's too tall. So I need to grind a little bit of this off. Just a bit. That's getting closer. All right, that's pretty good, but now I still got too much there. Yep, it's getting real tight through there. You can see that, no gap at all. You need a little bit of gap. This time, I'm just gonna go for basically from here all the way over, because I'm lined up at my back mark here. So like I said before, let's go ahead and make a new mark, because I like this fit. So I'm gonna go through here and do a mark. If it's easier, use some tape. Just a witness mark or 2. Okay, that's starting to look a little better. But as you can tell, this is a lot of back and forth, and that's I don't know, I think I probably have 80 grit on here. So on the edge of sheet metal, it'll take it down really fast. So just a couple of quick licks and then retry it. So you can see this is a whole game of tennis, just back and forth, back and forth. You probably saw the jack under here just to help support this, because it's just a little stronger foundation. It keeps sinking though. Need to get it back up a little bit and line this back up. The whole pan could stand to be bent a tiny bit up on that side. Should pull it up. Ooh, there we go. That did her. Starting to get lined up now. Starting to get a pretty good gap. That's still a little tight through there and right there. Got to keep working this down over here. But again, it's crucial to have these alignment marks. This is only the beginning. Then I got to cut all this out to fab this piece and get this back addressed. You can also imagine if you're trying to line it up here as well as back here to get it flush, it can be inside welding like this in terms of, you know, you're boxed on all sides and have to make every side match. Very challenging. That's one other thing that just overlapping this down back here is going to save me a ton of time. And again, I wouldn't do something like that to a quarter panel or something that's going to be visible to be bodywork, but this is going to be just fine for a floor pan that'll eventually have carpet back over it. A little more here. So I'm not gonna lie to you, I got a little sidetracked here. I getting this in over here pretty good, and then looking over in this corner and realizing, well, I got the wire covers all rotted away. Need to pull this last piece off here. Got a little spot welded tab back here. I started unplugging all the wires to get them out of the way because I need to pull this whole cover off all the way back to here, because again, rot holes here, if you can see that, and pretty nasty there. I don't think I can fab this piece to look like this. I can fab something though and make it rounded over. Again, it would lay under carpet, just a place to keep your wires neat. Then I got sidetracked into trying to get the leaves out of this joker up here. And a little bit of rust from the flapper door, which is seized. And then I tried to get the choke out of the way, which somebody had put in with some nice sheetrock screws that are ancient. I don't know why people use sheetrock screws instead of sheet metal screws to screw that in under here, but one of them snapped off and one of them came out, and I think they had no regard for the wires that are run up here. Luckily, they didn't get into any of them. And anyway, that's out of my way. I don't know if I'm going to have a manual choke on this thing or not, but it doesn't matter. It's in my way. So getting all these wires out of the way, and then I just vacuumed up my mess and get this stuff tucked up in here to where it doesn't get burned. Now I can start looking at this edge. It's really, really rough. And again, I got to get this all cleaned up to be weldable. So I got to start focusing over here. So here's where I'm at. So that can all be replaced later. Here's the factory tar style seam sealer. Still in good shape. It did the job sealing. I don't know what this is called or where to buy it. So a lot of the seam sealer you get nowadays hardens up pretty tough. But this stuff would have been all along through this seam. It's all, you know, kind of cooked off. So that's all right. We'll get some other sort of seam sealer on there down the road. Get this all cleaned up. Now I got to sand all this to where I have clean metal to weld to, and then I'll start the fitting process. So that side's fitting in pretty good, and this right in this area is going to be great, because once it all starts getting held down, I could just hammer this edge right here a tiniest bit and weld it right up. It's going to butt right up to that. A little proud up here, so what'll happen is I'll come to this after I get it all tacked in. I'll grind this top off and do the same thing, just hammer it over a little bit. And then this lines up pretty good. I got to trim this a tiny bit more to get this to fit a little better, seat it down some. And then you can see I've sketched out here roughly where I'm going to cut out the rot hole right there. That's going to be a tricky piece to fit in. I really should do it before I glue this in completely for the last time, because it's going to be hard to get up in here and sand and smooth, and I just got to find good metal. That's pretty pitted. I'm pretty sure that's not going to be good. And obviously through here, it goes all the way back over to here. So that's going to be a bit of a challenge, because there's crap behind it. There's framework behind it. And this is laying right up on that. So it's going to be definitely an interesting piece to bend up and get stuck in there. It's going to be a challenge. That'll be a whole day's project. Right now I'm going to focus on getting this fitted up, and running out of time for today, because there's a lot going on, but I hopefully can get a little bit more time on it tomorrow and get it going, man. Keep moving forward. This is probably going to take me a month of Sundays. Okay, it's the next day, and I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm way over analyzing this. You know, I told you yesterday I'm going to lap this back here, but I know that's the wrong way to do it. I should butt it up. And because if I lap it, then the other side of the frame rail under here, this is going to be off of it, and I'll have to hammer it down to get a nice hard contact with it. So I don't like that. So I'm going to kind of compromise. I really am going to try to avoid getting into the hardened undercoating under here, and I don't want to torch all that off in there. That's just a mess. I've done it. Don't like. Anyway, so what I've got here, I've spent a little bit of time. I've got everything pretty much lined up where I want it to be. I'm going to have to cut a little bit more out over here or trim this piece off some. But what I want to do is sit down fully on the floor. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut this piece on this side of the tape over here. And when I do that, then I can lay it back in here, trace it across there. And what's going to happen is, again, I'm way over analyzing this. You can see my tape line there. That's going to just catch the edge of this flange on this side. If I cut it along this tape line here, and then I can get rid of some of these spot welds that I've already drilled out. It'll get, you know, there's a tiny bit of rust here. That's actually good metal. It's mostly surface rust. But anyway, I'll cut that out, and then I'll just butt weld it. It'll be right on the edge of the flange, and that's where there is no undercoating underneath. So yeah, here we go. I'm just gonna keep getting after it. This is taking way longer than I think I was planning for it to, because I keep getting pulled away for life. So let me get started on this. Okay, now I've got it right where I want it. It's all looking pretty fitted up good. You know, got some more work to do on this side. That's okay. But I think what I am gonna do is pull this tape mark that I started with, right, and then lay down a new tape mark. I can do a Sharpie across here where I'm going to be cutting, but my eyesight's not great, and once I get the sparks flying with the cutoff wheel, I really struggle to see that Sharpie marker. So I'm going to use bright blue tape, painter's tape, and maybe that'll help me get a very, very accurate cut, because that is the goal here. Absolutely essential to get a proper alignment and gap to weld this up. I'm already not doing good at laying this tape down, to be perfectly honest. Definitely going to have a gap. All right. Do I like that? This is all flush. It's jammed up in there. I got the jack under it. So that's as far forward as it's going to go. Yeah. Not terrible. Maybe a little closer right here. Yeah, that should do it. All right. Get out the Whizzy wheel and cut, and it's slower with the die grinder, you know, cut off than the big angle grinder. Obviously this doesn't turn as fast. It doesn't bite as much. It's a very thin kerf right here. I think it's 3/32, but I have a lot more control. Anyhow, I guess nothing left to do but cut it. One of the things I'm trying to avoid is cutting too deep. I don't want to get into that flange, even though we're going to be welding right there. I don't want to gouge into that thing too far. So just going to ease into it, see how it taps away from these spot welds, and then if I got to cut deeper, I will. Sneak up on everything. It would appear there's a spot weld right there, and I missed it when I was cutting. That's okay. We'll get her. to do the sneak up on it fitting with, now it's going to be grinding back here on the new metal, because I don't want to grind on this, it's too hard to get into. But I got to sneak up and get it just a little bit of a gap, you know, I don't know, maybe a 1/16 or less of gap between these two panels to weld in through, and then trim this last little piece out and sneak up over here and just start the whole process. I'm going to do that all off camera because it's very tedious. Pan in, measure, mark, pan out, grind, 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 test fit, repeat. So I'm going to do that now, and I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, well, I've got it, let's say 95% fitted where I want it, and maybe just a tiny bit more tuning. But now I've run out of time for the day. I've got to get some other things taken care of. So I'll be back tomorrow morning and hopefully get it drilled out for spot welding and finish tuning it a little bit. Maybe cut this area out before I start tacking this in. Then I'll get it some tacks in there, hold it in place, and then I'll start working on that other piece. So see you tomorrow. So it's the next day now, and I think I've got it fitted about as good as I'm going to get it, you know, just chasing it back and forth. I did a little bit of more of that this morning, and now what I got to do is pop this back out of here one more time. I went underneath it and traced out the frame rails. Now I got to drill exactly where I need my spot welds to go on. Fill welds, they won't be spot welds, but so I got to do that all through here, and then fit it up one more time and then tack it in. So hopefully I'll get to that today. I do not have a lot of time, so this is taking a lot longer than I expected, chasing this full circle around, trying to get it to fit right. And I'll probably never be happy with the fit anyway. So let me get some marks made and get the drill out. So I've got all that marked out. Now I want to go ahead and cut this piece out, and I was just studying it. This is going to be difficult at best because I just discovered that, see this brace here, well, this is spot welded to it. It's also pinch welded up here to the firewall. But so I need to cut this piece. I'm going to destroy it getting it out of here anyway. But this metal is just not going to be good enough to weld to, and obviously there's weight reduction right there. And this is getting pretty flimsy over here too. So it's going to be a challenging little piece to bend up and fit in there and hold in place and get it completely fitted. It's going to look probably pretty terrible when it's all said and done, but it'll be sealed. So I can't tell from these rust pits where a spot weld is. That might be one. That might be one, but they're awful close together. Probably less than the 2 inches that they're normally. There's one right there. I don't know. So I guess I'm just going to get after it and mangle it out of there. So this metal is in really bad shape right here. What does that mean? It means when I try to tack in this piece, it's just going to blow through. Probably going to blow through right there too, a little piece of rust, but this is not going to be fun at all. I don't want to keep going, but I may have to. And this actually is pretty stout right here still, even though it looks rusty. This is not. And neither is this. I was trying to minimize the damage, but I think I'm going to have to come further over here. And this is thin, and that is obviously very thin. And I don't want to go any higher than this because there's a compound curve and bend right there. This is stamped out. It kind of sticks out from the plane of the piece. So I don't want to mess with any of that, but man, I know this is going to probably end up coming out all the way up into this area. Rough. This is going to take a little longer than I expected. Okay. All right, now that I've turned a perfectly good panel into Swiss cheese, let's see how all my cheese holes line up. Did I get it right? Yeah, kinda, ish. Yep, yep, missed right there. I knew I got too far over on that one. Let's get a better light on this thing. Yep, yep. Oof, yep. I gotta grind off the paint under there, some of that PR15. Oh boy, that one missed big. Crap. All right. Well, these two need to be redone. I need to drill a new hole on this. And I think it's gonna be somewhere right up in here, maybe. Let me double check. Yeah, 10.5. Oh, no, that's way off. Huh. All right, well. All right, well, let's do it again. No, that one's fine. It's this one. Oh, yeah. Way off. Sure as day. 10 1/4, probably even better. Let's try that one. All right. Alright, she's close. Still probably a little more fitting to do. This really worries me up here. That's going to be up there. I don't like that at all. I got a feeling I'm going to be getting knee deep into it. That is junk metal right there. Very, very thin. No bueno. Is what it is. Well, folks, that's going to have to do it for today. I've run out of time today. Other things to do. You know, unfortunately, this process is slow and painstaking, particularly when I'm not really, what do you say, like proficient with sheet metal. Kind of just something I'm just messing around with. So I'm going to have to get back after this. I'm going out of town, and then I'll have to come back to this project here in probably 2 weeks and start getting it, you know, zipped in there and fabricating that other little piece. So apologize. I was really hoping to get this at least started to be stitching in today, but I've run out of time. So anyhow, if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and stick around. There's more to come, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great week.